Hello, and welcome to the episode 14 Roundup edition. This is the Why of Entrepreneurship Dossier Roundup, covering episodes 8 through 13. As always, if you missed these episodes, you can find a link below to each of them, or if you want to revisit them, you can do that as well. Let's go ahead and jump right in. So, like I said, it's episodes 8 through 13. Episode 8 is if 70% of businesses fail in their first 5 years, why be an entrepreneur? Is a blog edition. Then I discussed it with Dana in the podcast, The Why of Entrepreneurship. And then ChatGPT weighs in as well in episode 10. And then episode 11, if entrepreneurship isn't for me, are there other ways to achieve FIRE? And so that is the blog post. And then Dana and I discussed that in the episode called The Alternative to Firepreneurship to Achieve FIRE. And then ChatGPT, again, weighs in on that subject. So let's talk about the key takeaways from the first blog. Key takeaway number 1, entrepreneurs work for themselves. That is a very good perk to being an entrepreneur. You work for yourself. Again, that is should be in quotes, working for yourself. You work for your customers. Your customers are, at the end of the day, what tell you what you should and shouldn't do. So that is something to keep in mind when getting into entrepreneurship. But most of the time, you can consider yourself working for yourself. You don't have the normal boss breathing down your neck, I guess you could say. The potential for reward is high. There are a lot of entrepreneurs that are very successful and are able to make ends meet and have a pretty comfortable life. Dana is one of those, and then we have our unicorn stories of like Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk that make lots of money. But yeah, those are more the exception than the rule. So you got to keep that in mind as well. The amount of entrepreneurs that fail is low. So there are 70% of small businesses that fail. So that's a lot of businesses that fail. But the entrepreneur themselves doesn't fail. The entrepreneur himself or herself doesn't fail. Meaning, they may give up on the business, to put it that way. They may retire that business, be like, okay, this was a failure, but I'm not going to quit on my dream of being an entrepreneur. I'm going to keep moving forward. So that is a very important thing to keep in mind as well. The 70% figure doesn't necessarily mean that you as an entrepreneur will fail. One big reason why businesses fail is the entrepreneur just loses interest. There are times when that happens, and if that happens, that's okay. It's just time for you to move on to the next thing. And that happens a lot as an entrepreneur. That's happened to me a few times with other businesses that I've started. I've just lost interest and moved on to other things. And then the last takeaway for this one is keep your business interesting to you. So make sure you're always interested in it. Make sure you have that passion, that motivation that got you going originally. And that way you will be able to keep your business afloat, and it won't be one of the businesses, one of the 70% of small businesses that fail. So make sure you keep your interest in your business. And then the discussion with Dana, some takeaways. Firepreneurship's.com's why. So in this episode, we talk about firepreneurship.com's why. I highly recommend you go into the episode to hear me talk about that. And so that you can kind of get some more background on firepreneurship.com and why I'm doing what I'm doing and why we do what we do. So make sure you tune in and listen to that part. That's for sure important. It's normal for your why to change. Dana has had 30 some odd years in his business. He originally started out with his why that is different from his why now. It changes in different times of life, different stages in life, and so make sure you keep that in mind. Your why will change, and that's okay. The history behind any business is rocky. So anytime you hear like, oh, overnight success, that isn't true. That's never true. It's like an overnight success 20 years in the making. I heard that said once in that way. So there's a lot of preparation that goes into creating a business, and a lot of the businesses that you see all of the businesses that you see don't start out as awesome as they are. They always have a rocky beginning, and that is okay, as long as you have your why to motivate you and get you through that rocky beginning. Your why must be strong enough, so I kind of already touched on that. Make sure it's strong enough to get you through the hard times, the rocky times, and a strong why is the key to staying motivated. Kind of just a different way of saying the same thing. Make sure you stay motivated because you have a strong why. That will help you get through the hard times. And then the ChatGPT advice: understand your audience's needs and preferences. So make sure you're always reaching out to your customers, your clients. Make sure you always are doing what they would like you to do. And that way your business will be able to stay afloat. And it'll not fall into the 70% of small businesses that fail. Define your own success metrics. So what may be success to somebody else may not be success for you. Make sure you're clear on what your definition of success is, and make sure you're doing what it takes to reach those success metrics. Embrace a growth mindset. Make sure you have an abundance mindset as well. Make sure that you always feel that there is more you can do, there's more you can earn, there's more you can do for your customer, and that will also help you with motivation and keep your business afloat. Outsource non-core tasks. Make sure you're not wasting your time per se. Waste might not be the best word, but stuff that you're using your time on that could be delegated or outsourced. It would be a good idea to do that, because you'll be able to free up your time to focus on core tasks or whatever you want to use that time to focus on. Regularly revisit your initial vision and purpose. That's very important. You always need a reminder of why you started out doing things, a reminder of what your mission is, your why. Make sure you regularly revisit that and remind yourself of those things. Develop a content strategy that is consistent. Make sure the strategy that you do come up with is something that you can sustain for a long time. There are businesses that have been going in content marketing for years and years, but they obviously change their strategies and whatnot, but they're able to keep it up, and that is something that is very important to be able to keep your business afloat. Make sure you stay updated on the latest trends and adapt. Obviously, in this day and age, AI is changing a lot of things. It's disrupting a lot of industries. So make sure you can stay on top of things and make the changes work for you instead of against you. And then the next blog episode is, if I decide entrepreneurship isn't for me, are there other ways to achieve FIRE? So in this blog post, I go over the traditional way of achieving FIRE. So the first takeaway, FIRE, if you didn't already know, means financial independence, retire early. That's an important definition there. You can achieve FIRE with a traditional job. The blog post goes into deeper detail, but it basically talks about cutting back costs, your expenses, and earning more, finding ways to earn more money, and saving a lot of money. So start by cutting your costs. Make sure you eliminate those things from your expenses that you don't necessarily need, that you can live without. That's key to be able to achieve FIRE in the traditional sense. Save a lot of money. I think it changes. The recommendation is the 25 rule. You take what you spend per month and times it by 25, and that is what you will need to save up. There are other rules out there, but that's the one that I am most familiar with and that I strive to follow. So make sure you can increase your income, invest in the stock market, real estate, whatever you can. Have a side hustle that will earn you more money. That'll help you have a bigger gap between your expenses and what you earn, and you'll be able to save more money. So Now, Dana and I talking about the alternative to entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is hard work. It is definitely a lot, quote unquote, easier to take the traditional route. You get a job, uh, you can, which is a lot easier, I would say, depending on the field you get into, but a lot easier than entrepreneurship because entrepreneurship is a lot of hard work. The next bullet point is if you love your job and it's what you want to do, stay. Don't make the jump to fire or to entrepreneurship just because you want to be an entrepreneur. There are a lot of people that have their day job or their normal job, quote unquote, and they're like, oh, I have this dream of becoming an entrepreneur. But a lot of times it may not be a good idea for you to make that jump. So make sure you know if you really want to or not, and if it's worth sacrificing the job that you've worked so hard to get. So the next bullet point is no matter how you pursue fire, you can get there. There are many ways of pursuing it, so just don't ever think, oh, I'm not going to be able to make it. If you want to do it, you can do it. Like the old saying goes, if there's a will, there's a way. Um, Next bullet point, you will not be a stranger to frugal living. That, as I've mentioned a number of times in this, is very key. You will need to um, be very frugal. You'll have to live very, very frugally. Something good about achieving fire with entrepreneurship is you'll be able to achieve, if your business is successful, obviously it's not a guarantee, but you might be able to achieve what's called fat fire, where you don't have to be so frugal. You'll be able to live a comfortable life, but still achieve fire. So that is a perk to that. Remember to always diversify. As I was mentioning before, have multiple sources of income. Make sure you are able to do that. You got to have a lot of sticks in the fire to make this work. Here are some advice. Here's the advice from ChatGPT. Excuse me. So, identify your fire goals. Make sure you have that savings number in your mind. How you're going to get there. Set your goals. Identify them. Have them in your mind. Write them down. Align your work efforts with your fire goals. As I've been saying before, make sure you're earning enough money to be able to save enough money. Explore various monetization avenues, so diversify, have many sticks in the fire. Track and manage your expenses. It is a very good idea to have a budget to track and manage your expenses, to know exactly where your money is going so that you know exactly what you can cut, exactly what you can't cut, and exactly how much money you're making, how much money you're saving. Those are very important things that you need to know. Save and invest wisely. You don't want to be just jumping at the next get rich quick scheme or whatever. You got to be very smart. Do your due diligence before investing in like the stock market. Make sure you're doing it right because you could also lose a lot of money. So make sure you do your homework before you invest. And then the last bullet point here is explore side hustles. You may not enjoy entrepreneurship, or you may decide it's not for you, and that's okay. But don't throw out being or having side hustles, which would qualify you as an entrepreneur. You're doing your own thing. You're starting your own business. But a side hustle could include doing DoorDash or Uber or whatever, like one of those applications that you can do on your own time to make a little bit of extra money, sell things around the house. Those are all side hustles, so don't be uh, afraid of side hustles. Those are a very good way to make more money, to be able to save more money. So next week's dossier is the entrepreneurial attributes to determine whether or not you have what it takes. You can obviously decide that for yourself, but it is a good thing to consume, a good dossier to consume to help you make that decision. And as always, if you like our content, please like it, give us a thumbs up. Comment, please. We would like to have you a part of the conversation. Make sure you share this with anybody that you know would enjoy it, and make sure to subscribe so that you know what's coming up next. And last but not least, if you would like free resources for your business, if you haven't already gotten it, go to firepreneurship.com/resources and download the free resources that are found there.